everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Productions studios for another edition of YBMcast with Matt and Brian. And we appreciate you joining us today. We got a pretty good show for you. Right, Matt?
That's right. Isn't every show a good show?
I think so. And we hope you think so. And if you do, please hit that subscribe button. Hit that dinger next to it because that's what we do around here. We hit dingers. I love that. And I got a catch in my throat, and I'm sorry, folks. So we're going to talk a little bit today about All-State. All-State teams came out.
Right.
Missouri All-State. We've got some college baseball, our picks, see how good we were. And hopefully we're going to get Kevin Mulder. We're up and down on whether we can get Kevin in. He's on his way to Kansas City for an event with PBR. But we're also going to be talking about the 2023 class, which, you know, we've said for the last couple months, it's loaded, isn't it?
We've been talking about the 23 class, I think, since last fall.
Yeah.
When this whole thing started. It's loaded.
Yeah. And we'll get to that. So let's jump in here. We're going to give some love to our Class 1 sophomores. There was 13 sophomores. I was stuck that up in my face. There was 13 sophomores in Class 1. One of our favorites, our folks from Oran, who won the state title. Yeah. Colton Payne, Nick Massey. Congrats to those guys. Honorable mention for Colton Payne as a pitcher and first team catcher, Nick Massey. So congrats to those guys. Great job there. Let's get over, and I'm going to say this real quick. We have, if you want to see the All-State teams, we have a link in the post description, correct, Justin? Yes, we do.
Mr. Producer says yes.
Exactly. And so you can go and check out all the, because we're not going to run through all of them. It'd take too long, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're focusing on our sophomore class here. In Class 2, there was 9 sophomores, dude.
Well, again, 2023s.
I'm telling you, it really is showing.
Yeah.
I don't know some of these South Pemmico, Pemiscot. I'm probably blowing that one up too. Salisbury, Russellville, Putnam County. I know they were in the Final Four, right? I believe so. Brian McReynolds there. Parker Crow from Ash Grove. Marionville, Blaine Young. I know Marionville won the state title. Sophomore Blaine Young out of Marionville, honorable mention on the Class 2. We're getting up here into our Class 3. Again, 9 sophomores in Class 3. You have, I think that's Garin Hall out of Houston.
Garin Hall.
Malachi Antley out of Licking. St. Pius kid, Luke Presco. I think we talked about him before. I think he's in the PBR listings there. Just up the road there in Ellsbury, Caden Kinsler from Ellsbury. Got a second team outfielder as a sophomore. That's pretty good. Let's see if there's a Herman, pretty close here. Parker Anderson, another sophomore out of Herman. And down in Clever, Hayden Camp, another sophomore. So congrats to all those sophomores, man. That's a lot of kids. There was 9 sophomores in the Class 4.
Yeah.
Now here we have, this is where it gets really interesting. I'm going to give a big shout out here, though, first to a couple guys. Matt knows this young man very well. Josh Newell, St. Charles West product. He's a junior, second team pitcher. Very good kid, very good pitcher. And then again, out of St. Charles West, shout out to Nuru Allen. Did a great job with that team this year, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this, a couple shows ago.
Yeah.
When we had him on in the fall.
Yep.
He didn't know what he had. He had to figure out what he had, and I think he did a great job. And, you know, some of these kids are getting some good accolades from having a good season, so it's nice to get some credit here for them.
And his senior catcher, who was second team All-State, Cole Gramling, signed with Lindenwood.
Yeah.
Yeah, so congrats to Cole Gramling for signing there with Lindenwood. That's a great pickup there. I watched him a couple times. He looked good. Good,
Yeah, and
solid catcher.
Lindenwood's legit. I mean, they
Yeah.
were number 1 ranked team for Division II for 2-3 weeks this past spring. So
Exactly. So Winfield, another GAC kid, senior, Nolan Rikers. We're going to give him a shout out there. That's GAC stuff. But then sophomores, we talked about Kennett all year. Here's a sophomore, Brooks Niggett, right there. Second team, you had a kid out of Hollister, Blake Russell, Odessa Valley Catholic. And the last sophomore there, Curry Sutherland, Logan Rogersville. I think that's way down south there, isn't it? Yeah, so
no idea.
it probably is since we don't know.
exactly.
No offense. We're into our Class 5. 7 sophomores in Class 5. Bud. That's pretty good, right? And our GAC guys, we're going to give some love to our GAC guys here, our seniors. Andrew Castelli, Zumwalt North, first team.
Well, he's Zumwalt South, right?
Zumwalt South, my
Right.
fault. Zumwalt South, great season. Austin Young, second team. Zumwalt East. Logan Reidelberger, catcher, first team. Zumwalt South. Jacob Steele, senior, shortstop. Zumwalt South as well. Then you get down to infielders, Peyton Blair, he's a junior, Zumwalt South. And Warrenton had a sophomore honorable mention. There's a sophomores again out of Warrenton, Caden Hibbs. You had Zumwalt South, Brady O'Brien as an outfielder, second team. So that rounds out the GAC. That was pretty good, man.
It is. And the thing that I think people need to realize when it comes to first team, second team, to get these accolades, it's a lot of it's driven on stats. It's about statistics. So you could be a great player, not get first team or second team. I mean, there's a lot of kids that are Division I kids that aren't getting first team, second team because maybe their stats just didn't add up compared to somebody else.
Right.
But there's a lot of good players on these sheets, but there's also a lot of good players that did not make those sheets.
I agreed.
And there's some names that got named that are second team that if you asked me, would I put them on my first team? If I was building a first team, I would say 100%.
We'll have that discussion.
Just saying.
I love that. Hey, you know what? That's what these things are about. I think
Not that I wouldn't take the
No,
first team kids.
I
I'm just
understand.
saying, just because you got second team doesn't mean that you need to.
You're not Joe Schmo.
Well, no, and there's kids that didn't even get on here that aren't Joe Schmo.
Very good. You could add a down year too. I mean, it happens.
It's kind of like the MLB All-Star game. You know, people get snubbed, and you wonder why.
Yeah, it happens because there's only so many spots.
Correct. Anyway, keep going. Sorry.
We got we got 7 sophomores in Class 5. Cam Durnan, out of Willard. Of course, Willard won the state championship. Cooper Hampton, sophomore, second team infielder. I think Willard's going to set up nicely next year because they got a junior here as well that made it. But we're dealing with sophomores. Jackson Rovig out of Marshfield. Jeter Mousy, Platte County. Riker Edwards out of Smithville. Yeah, Joe. I guess that would be Joby. I don't know if you pronounce the E. Jobe. Smith out of North County, and Wyatt Brockman out of Marshfield. So that rounds out our Class 5 sophomores, and congrats to the GAC for making All-State. Now let's get into our big boys here, Class 6. 7 sophomores. I thought that's pretty impressive.
Well, yeah, of course. Again,
You know, because you get into Class 6, you got bigger schools.
yeah.
But
It just shows that these 23s had an impact on their teams, especially the ones that did well.
Absolutely. And we got 4 kids that we're going to point out here that are in the PBR Missouri top 20 rankings as well. But let's start off with our GAC guys, right?
Okay.
First team, Noah Hargraves for Zumwalt West. Love that. Senior Nolan Miller out of Zumwalt West, second team.
Both of those guys had great seasons. Both of them.
Then there again, you had Carson Subert, which we saw.
Another great season.
He was throwing a no-hitter in that district game, or
For Hal.
It was a quarterfinal.
Right.
Yeah. For Hal, had a great outing there. Shane Kirby out of Francis Hal, honorable mention there as well. Then we go down to Owen Nagel, Francis Hal Central, senior catcher, second team. Congrats there. Will Doherty, infield, Francis Hal.
Good season.
Then we have Mason Whiteside, Zumwalt West. He really kind of solidified that infield, kind of a catalyst there all year. Jake McCutcheon, Francis Howell Jr. there, so he'll be back next year. Sam Maddox, Francis Howell, outfield first team. Mason Whiteside, Jake McCutcheon, both honorable mention. Daniel Whistler out of Fort Zumwalt West, junior outfielder, first team. Sam Maddox and Daniel Whistler are both first team. Outfield honorable mention, Titus Sissel, freshman. That's pretty impressive right there. Francis Howell. DH utility first team, senior, Tanner Perry, Zumwalt West. Then DH utility second team, we had three kids on there. Matt James from Francis Howell, Jackson Hetzel, Francis Howell, and Victor Quinn, Liberty Wentzville.
So a lot of Howell kids, but also the other thing too is with Howell, it just shows you the depth they have with some of the younger guys getting some accolades. And then one of the first team pitchers is Carson Milbrandt, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Right, which I wouldn't be shocked if he
Troy
is named
Wansing,
player of the year in the state.
Yeah. I mean, you had Carson Milbrandt Jr., the other kids, Troy Wansing and Luke Flott out of Lafayette. I
don't know when they announced the player of the year.
I'm not sure,
but he's got to be on. He's got to be up there.
We're going to keep
an eye. The season that he had and how he performed in the state Final Four, I think, really could bump him up to get that award. So.
I agree. All right, let's jump into this. Let's take a look here. We've got some kids in this 2023 class in the top 20 of the state, and you're looking at Tate McGuire here. Just jumps off the page. Pitchers, second team out of Liberty North, and I think that's why. When we talked last week with Kevin, he was talking about Liberty North being up there. Tate McGuire is a sophomore, is already committed to Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
And so right there, you have a huge impact in that scenario. Let's look.
Well, Tate McGuire is a right-handed pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
He was a future games participant. He's he can hit 91. But I think the thing for him is he can sit upper 80s in a game and he can pitch. He can pitch. He can throw strikes.
And
he can throw upper 80s in game. He can't just say, "Hey, I'm going to throw 91 for a showcase, but I'm not going to hit 90 or 91 in a game," which is why Arkansas wants him.
I'm going to come back to this, and we're going to have this discussion here for too long because I see this all the time. I see it at the professional level, and I understand there's guys, everybody wants velocity because it's hard to hit velocity, right? Okay, that's fine. But timing, if you're sitting on a fastball and you can time it up, you can hit it. And you can hit it a long way. Okay, but that's what you're saying. Can you throw strikes at velocity? And I think that is the key to it. I don't care. I watch the game. I watch games, and I see these kids throwing all over the place. They'll throw 100 pitches by the third inning, and everybody goes, "Man, he was throwing 95." Yeah, but he walked the bases loaded 5 times.
Correct. So you've got to think about it from a different perspective. of pitching. They're pitching. They're not just throwing, they're pitching.
Right.
So you take guys that are 86, 88, they've got good secondary stuff. They can throw for strikes. They can throw a 2-0 changeup. They can throw a 2-0 curveball. They can have confidence to throw a 3-1 curveball, a first pitch changeup. That's a competitive pitch. It doesn't have to be a strike, but it's got to be a competitive pitch. Those guys are pitchers. So when you get to some of these big events and you see guys that can run it up there, majority of them can run it up there not throwing strikes, and they can't hold a runner. So you've got a team that can run, and they literally are just stealing around the bases on pitcher, and you wonder why he gives up so many runs. Well, he's not throwing strikes, and he can't hold a runner. But for a college, they look at it as, I'll take him, we'll fix it. We can get him to hold runners, we'll give him a couple years, he'll start finding the zone because he can run it up. The 86 to 88 guys that pitch aren't as attractive to college guys because they got to get the velo up, and some of them are already bigger guys, but some of the smaller schools like those guys because they know that they can come in and get outs. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot of those guys are the guys that end up getting drafted down the road because they end up getting bigger, stronger, and they already know how to pitch. Now they know how to pitch, and they're throwing 91 on the black. So seeing 91 consistently with run on the black, moving in, out, that's minor league stuff right there. I mean, that's even some guys in the majors. You're 91, 92, inner half, outer half, good secondary. You at some point you have to pitch. You can't just throw.
Right. And to your point, I liked what you said there. This is where I think those things come into play too, Matt. As you well know, you deal with it year in and year out with your program. You got kids that are looking to get drafted or go to that next level. Does he have the mental capacity? If that kid is throwing 95, but he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. And I'm exaggerating a little bit, but that college coach says, I believe we can fix it. Does that young man have the mental capacity? And I think this is where the judgment is, right? This is where it kind of rolls the dice. Is the young man mentally prepared to handle that level of commitment at the next level, along with school and things? And I think parents have to think about this at times. Yes.
Yes. But if you got a kid, not many people can throw 95, right?
I agree. So I understand.
If you take a guy that can throw 95, they're going to invest more patience, I should say, in him. Okay. Because they'll give him a couple years. Like, we're giving you money. You're already throwing hard. We got to give you a couple years to see if you can do it. After a couple years, if you can't do it, then they're just going to cut him.
And I think that's where sometimes that better route for a young man like that is JUCO, because you're taking your general ed studies at the JUCO level.
It depends where you go for a JUCO. They have to have a program in place to help you as a player develop. So you can. Otherwise, if you just go to any JUCO, you can go to any JUCO, and if they don't have anything in place, you're going to be the same guy in 2 years. So
it does matter, doesn't it?
Yeah, if you take a kid that's 95, has control problems, and you send him to Arkansas is going to redshirt him, and they're going to pretty much say, this is where you need to be, this is what you're working on, and you're going to throw 90, and you're going to hit spots. And then you're going to throw 91, and you're going to hit spots. 92 hit spots. 93 hit spots. So then they can actually progress. But what people don't realize is getting from 90 to hit 90 to 93 to hit spots, that's like a 9-month process for a kid that has a hard time. Plus, they're trying to teach them to get some run on the ball so it's not straight. And then at the same time, you're working on secondary pitches. In the end, you have to pitch. You have to be able to pitch. When you get to a certain level, you have to be able to pitch. You can't just throw. Now, if you're just going to do local stuff, then you're 95. And yeah, I'll take a guy throwing 95 because, for one, it looks great because he'll throw an inning, and then people are there to watch, and then it helps every other kid on that team.
I understand that.
Because they're going to come watch him, so then they're going to stay to watch everybody else. But then again, I also have kids that throw upper 80s that pitch.
Yeah.
They can hit 91,
Right.
but they're going to sit 88 and they're going to pitch.
And that's
88
always,
isn't any slouch.
well, that's what I'm saying. People we say, oh, 88. Well, he's only throwing 88. Well, it's hard to hit an 88 mile an hour fastball
if
too.
you can throw 88 and you can throw a 78 changeup and you can throw, a good snapdragon, you're good.
It's going to get you a long way, and it's going to get you into probably a really, really, really high level Division II school too.
I mean, if you're good and you can throw like that, I mean, there's D1s that'll say, I'll take you because I know you're going to pitch and you're going to end up being at 91, 92.
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, okay, we'll come back to that. That's good stuff. Let's look at the next one on here. Nazan Zanatello, CBC. Nazan is number 3 on the Missouri. He's already committed to Miami University.
Correct.
That doesn't suck. I mean, a little Coral Gables, Miami South Beach.
The big thing is Miami does not recruit out of Florida that often, and either does hardly any school that's in Florida. I know Florida very well.
They don't need to, right?
They don't need to. So this kid can play. I mean, he can play. He's a two-way guy. He's a legit two-way guy. I think that he could easily be the number 1 guy, but I also think the top 5 guys in this class could all be number 1. I'm not sure there's a drastic difference between the top 5.
I don't disagree.
I think two of them being lefties helps, but in general, no.
Well, I'll tell you what. There's only 2 guys that I know of, and there might have been more. I just didn't hear about them, but hit it out of that park, U.S. Ballpark down there. And that was Reese Robinette from Kennett going to Arkansas. And the other one was Nazan Zanatello here going to Miami. And the one we saw that day, it was a bomb. I mean, it was crushed.
It is not easy to hit the ball out of that park.
And the wind was blowing in a little, wasn't it, Justin? Yeah. So,
Well, and Zanatello, I mean, he also pitches.
okay.
So, I mean, he's good on the mound, but he's a good player.
Yeah, yeah. So then down here we also have Colton. I got to put my glasses back on. Wemoff from Rockhurst, also in the top 20 of the Colton right here out of Rockhurst. He's number 16 on the state list with PBR. Now I can't tell you I know as much about this young man, so I'm pulling.
He's
up
an
some-
outfielder that can run.
Okay.
Plays
for the Royal Scout team.
Correct. Big kid, he's a 6'2", 185, 180, 190 around there, which is a pretty decent-sized kid for a 2023.
His 60's good, too, here at 6'8",
yeah, he can run. But he's got good pop. He's got a little pop in his bat. Again, he's, another good player. So,
and I think when you look at this 2023 national ranking, he's in his position, he's at 69. That's pretty good right there. Overall ranking in the nation, he's at 449, which I think is pretty good in PBR right there. So you have some pretty good stuff there. I want to look at something. I'm going to go backwards here just a moment, okay? I want to look at Tate McGuire here in PBR. Now, here's the difference here. In his position, he's number 1, ranked 4th, 111th in the nation, 31 in his position. When you're in that top 100 in the nation, Matt, that's definitely Division I.
Oh, yeah.
Talent.
Yeah. The way that we look at it as if you're a top 100 player, PBR perfect game, in general, just top 100,
yeah,
you're getting drafted.
Oh, really?
If you're, not position, overall.
Overall, I understand.
Right.
I understand.
So if you may not go to the draft, but you are on the list to be drafted. Those guys are going to school to play baseball. They're going to school to get drafted. If they got drafted, they're going, hey, I'm going to get my 2 years and I'm done. Some of them might decommit, go JUCO, just so they can get drafted sooner. Again.
Right.
So
they're looking for a
23s,
career in
we'll
baseball,
see.
is what you're saying.
100%.
Yeah.
We'll see where they end up when it's all said and done. I mean, just because you're ranked, 111 or 110 now doesn't mean that you'll stay there. You may move up, you may move down, because you get to know a lot more of these kids in different states, because there's certain states that haven't fully developed their rankings.
Right.
If you go to like Perfect Game, they're probably a little more updated on the top 100 overall, because they have more of a foothold in Florida and more of a foothold in Texas.
Gotcha.
So, and even California. California, Texas, and Florida are 3 hotbeds for kids on national levels. So, I know a bunch of 2023 kids.
Right.
In Florida.
Right.
Exactly, per se. And there's some good ball players. Were they going to be ranked nationally? Heck, I don't know. I don't do the rankings. But
Right.
There's a kid out of Florida. It's a 2023 center fielder. He's going to Florida State. Heck of a player. He may not step foot in Florida State. You run a 6'4", 60, you're 92 from center field. That plays at any level.
There you go.
You know what I mean? But I'm just saying.
Yeah,
but
I
those
understand.
kids haven't really been fully put into PBR yet.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
now, he's good. Like, they're good now. They're where they're ranked, but it's also you're talking about a pitcher compared to a position guy. Because to be a position guy and get drafted out of high school, you have to be like 100% legit. You watch this kid play, and he literally stands out from every other kid on that team, and that team's normally full of D1 guys. Seriously. Like,
Right.
You face a team that's legit, where it's all D1 guys, and there's 1 or 2 kids that are significantly better than them. Those are the 2-3 kids that are getting drafted.
Well, you look at Zonatello here. He is 113th ranked nationally, 25th in his position. And then we're going to go to the next guy here that we want to talk about. Infielder, honorable mention. We've talked about him, this young man on the program. He's ranked 2nd in our state, and he's committed to Texas A&M, and that's Addison Smith. Now, his national rankings are much better than everybody else's that I've seen so far. He's ranked 37th nationally, 7th in his position. So this is what you're talking about, correct? This is where that next level, you're talking draft.
Correct. The big thing for me with him is obviously the kick and play, right?
Yeah.
Hits from the left side, infielder, pitcher. He can do multiple things. My guess is he can probably play just about anywhere. But the big thing for me with him is his numbers around the bases have to get faster. I'm being picky, by the way.
Well, but you can afford to do that at this level with this young man. Do you want you continue to work on your strengths, but you improve your weaknesses, right?
He's a great player. I mean, heck,
Yeah.
he's going to Texas A&M, right?
Right.
He's a heck of a player. He's a Power 5 D1 guy.
Right.
But if I was to say, hey, to get picky with if you want to get to the next level, the big thing that you're just going to have to work on is speed. The other big thing for a lot of these kids is what they don't understand, and they're young. Remember, these kids are young.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about the cream of the crop in the state of Missouri for sophomores.
Yes, we are.
The big thing for a lot of these kids is they have to get physical. They have to be physical. They've got to have muscle. They've got to be strong. They don't have to get bulky, big, whatever. They have to play a physical style of baseball. Because when you get to 17, 18, and you're playing cream of the crop, it's a very physical game. You're blocking bases at third. You're blocking bases at second. Your tags are hard. Everything is physical. And you have to have that presence. A lot of these kids that I've seen, they haven't gotten to that point yet. But again, they're sophomores. But then again, I can pull up some sophomores that are nationally ranked, top 100. They're playing for legit 17, 18U teams across the country. You see them play in person, they're very physical players.
And if folks, I understand exactly what Matt's saying. If you're not quite sure, what he means by that, you see these kids that are very timid when they approach the game. They'll back away from a kid sliding. The tag is maybe a little slow. It's not aggressive. Is that kind of
to a point? Yes, but they're strong.
Right, I understand.
Like rundown tags. It's ball in hand, in glove. And it's here on to the next play. It's not here, and you're not being physical and taunting or mean or anything to the other player. It's just, it's a boom here on to the next play, or last out, ball down, and they're sprinting off the field.
Right.
Or it's tag at third, ball in the gap, shortstop comes over to his right, guy on second's running, he throws to third baseman's in position, knees down, ball's here, he's ready for contact, boom, done, move on.
Yeah. It's that kid that stands out at 13U that just kind of out physicals everybody, right?
Yeah, but you have 9 of them on the field at one time.
I understand. I'm just,
Correct.
Visual picture.
Yes.
And the kid and the mom in the crowd says, man, that's just too hard.
So let's take the Francis Howell Zumwalt West game.
Yeah.
Play at second base. You've got, as a second baseman, you have to get out of the way. Because if I'm running, I'm taking you out. It's a physical. You look at baseball prior to the last 4 or 5 years in Major League Baseball. Catchers were getting ran over. You were sliding into second and spikes up, taking out the middle infielder. There's parts of the game that were dirty. Look at Albert Bell when he floored Fernando Vina at second base on a basic tag, and nobody said anything. It's
the game.
The game has to be played physical.
And here, to your point,
but you need the players in the body to do it.
And I'm not picking, and I'm sure Coach, everybody would say when I saw the play, his feet were very close together. He fell over, and you're looking at this, and I'm thinking to myself, that front foot's got to be on the bag. That you got to get that back foot back so you can plant.
Well, he's got to either cross it,
right?
Or he's got to come back to give him an avenue.
So that your left foot's got to hit that bag to where your right foot's sticking in the ground.
When he goes to the next level, he's going to get taken out.
Right?
He's going to have inter-squad games where he gets taken out.
Right. And that's the reality.
But nothing
of it.
On him. I'm just bringing that up because it's a recent memory of what I'm talking about.
Exactly. It's a talking point, and that's all we're doing, folks, because this is where when you start talking about All-State and these kids and all this, there is that next level, and this, regardless of what we'd like to think. I'm going to bring it up. I saw Facebook talking about kids competing in this and that. Oh, I can't believe this, that. And I will say this. Kids have to learn how to compete because you get into high school at the lower ages, and I'll say this. I don't mean this bad toward anybody, but sometimes we're batting 15 and kids, they expect, and then they get to high school and they're like, how come I'm not getting to hit? Well, it doesn't work that way. Learning how to compete, learning how to put yourself in that position, and sometimes putting those kids in that position early and giving them an understanding of something, I think could be beneficial long term. That's just all I'm going to say right there.
Definitely, I can't argue that point. But youth baseball is completely different than high school baseball.
I agree, and I think there's places where there's the opportunity to bat all the kids, and there's opportunity to teach the kids how to compete, and you want an extra at bat, you go here. This is what we do.
Well, yeah, but when you get to the upper levels, and you're talking like 13, maybe some even 12, really high school, and you get the big events. You've got, Bryce Harper was from Las Vegas, and and people flew him in for events
Oh yeah.
all the time. But it's another level when you get out of the area, which is why you see a lot of local kids playing on national teams, playing in big events. It's another level. It's another level physically.
Yes. Well,
Talent-wise, yes, but it's another level physically.
That happened this weekend in St. Louis, and this is where this came from because a team was playing in a 12U elite event. Very good teams. They were bringing. There was a couple kids that were in St. Louis here that were playing on a team from out of town. They'd called them and asked them to play. They were on their roster, so they've traveled with them before, on the roster. And this is, you saw it in Cooperstown at 12U. You see it at 12U
all the time, everywhere.
Right?
It happens everywhere.
And that's to your point. These are elite events.
Correct. So if I was to go to Florida, I would say, hey, I need 3 or 4 guys. And our Florida guy would say, here's 3 or 4 guys.
There you go. And
it happens everywhere. It happens everywhere. It happens against us every game, every weekend. It doesn't matter. That's just how it is. But in the end, who cares? You want to see the best. You want to play against the best. And you want to compete. Because I would rather have a 6-4 ball game and just say, you know what, we lost to a team that's really good. We learned something from it, than win 8-0, 8-2, and you don't get anything out of it.
Hey guys, I want to let you know we have links in our post, our show description down below. Post description, whatever it is, something like that. It's below on our YouTube down there in the description. Right, Justin? He always gets mad at me about that. Anyway, they're down there. You can go and see the Missouri State High School all-state information there. We also have a link to the GAC All-Conference winners there from each division, so that's on there too. Go check those out. Give those kids some props. I think it's great. Let's finish up here, Matt. We're gonna look at how we did in our NC2A pool here.
Not well.
We did okay. I mean, it wasn't horrible. I mean, we all picked Arkansas, and I think everybody else picked Arkansas.
Everybody in the country picked Arkansas.
So you and Kevin picked Texas Tech. I picked Stanford.
Now, hold on. Let's rewind. I have inside information on Texas Tech. Texas Tech's one of their leaders and their shortstop, Cal Connolly, did not play because he was sick.
Do you think that would have made the difference?
I think they would have won the second game with him.
Okay. And then you're, down the road. It's possible. Know. It's possible. I'll give you that. But nonetheless, Stanford won. Ole Miss, Arizona. You and Kevin both picked Ole Miss. I had Arizona. So there we go. We all picked Vanderbilt. That's an easy one. I don't think anybody saw that. We all picked Texas. We all picked Notre Dame. And, that Mississippi State came out of that. So you and Kevin picked Virginia. I had Dallas Baptist. So we're down there. And we all had Tennessee going on. So I thought we did overall pretty well, right?
Yeah. I mean, but now who do you have? You got 4 against 4.
I'll tell you.
Who's going to be in the finals, I guess, is the real question we have to ask ourselves. Out of each side, who's going to match up?
I'll be honest with looking at this. Who's playing well? Man, I mean.
I'll go first.
Go ahead.
Stanford versus NC State and Vandy versus Arizona. That's the Final Four on one side.
I agree with that.
I've got Vandy coming out of that one. The other one, Tennessee, Virginia, Texas, Mississippi State. I've got Tennessee coming out of that one. I've got Vandy, Tennessee playing each other in an SEC final. And I'm picking those two because I want to see those two play each other in the best of 3. Because I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, because that's what I was going back. I had Stanford, Vandy, too, and I was going back and forth between those two. I'm going to take Stanford. I think Stanford's hitting the ball well. I think they've played well down the stretch.
So you think they're going to come out of that 4?
Yeah, I do. Okay. And I think I like what you had there, Texas and Tennessee. And I don't know nothing about Texas. I've watched some Tennessee, so, you know, I think that's a toss-up.
Well, you can't do that.
All right,
I want to
Tennessee.
see Vandy and Tennessee play each other. And you're thinking Stanford and Tennessee are going to play each other.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
That's mine. So
I've been wrong this entire time.
No, you
so
haven't.
I am picking what I want to see to see if that helps.
Hey, sometimes that's
High
the way
school
it works.
baseball games, wrong. College baseball games, wrong. Whatever.
I mean, I would enjoy
Why
that
don't
Stanford
gamble on
Vanderbilt.
games?
That would be good. Stanford Vanderbilt, that'd be really
Well,
good.
they're going to play each other, probably.
Yeah, I'd be. So let's see. It starts tomorrow. Starts tomorrow, and you know I'm gonna be there Friday night watching that Stanford.
It's Saturday, June 19th.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It is Saturday. My fault. I'm a day out.
Yeah, there's a double dip.
Exactly. All right. Hey, guys, I hope you enjoyed the show. It was a lot of fun. Matt, thanks as always. Great information there. What do you got going on, man? You guys rolling all around the country at this point, right?
Yeah, we were just in Cincinnati for like a pro invite round robin, and then we go to Hoover, Alabama for a PG Elite invite only. So that's end of the month.
Very good.
That'll
Very
be good.
good. Good luck, man.
Thanks. It's fun. Seeing the best dudes, it's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, guys, appreciate you joining with us again. Hey, if you like what we got going on here, please hit the subscribe button. Share this out with your friends. Tell your friends about it. Hit that dinger right there because that's what we do around here.
We hit dingers.
Amen to that. And we hope that it's been informative. If you have any questions, comments, please leave them in the box below. We'd love to hear from you about what we're talking about. It's always creates good conversation, right?
100%.
There you go. So everybody have a great day in the Lord. All you pitchers, keep throwing strikes, and you hitters,
Hit them where they ain't.
good advice. We'll see you next time.